Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac.
This is Megan.
And I know we've been
MIA
for a while. Jinx. Speaking of which, we'll probably talk about that later as well. But we perfectly good excuses. I know if you pay attention to our Instagram, you saw that I was went under the knife, as they say.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. I don't know if I talked about it before in different episodes and stuff like that, but I had what's the term? Umbilical cord hernia. And I said the hernia behind my umbilical cord, basically making my innie belly button and outie belly button.
Yeah. That's weird looking.
Sorry for all those outer belly button people.
Yeah. No. No, because it looked like an outie, but it wasn't like an outie. Like you knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know how it happened. I know it showed up a few months, and I thought, well, it'll go back in. It didn't. It gradually got worse, and then to a point where it's like, well, got health insurance, might as well look at it.
The best way to describe it is like, for any like moms out there, it's like when you were getting like close to the end of your pregnancy, your belly button starts kind of like popping out. Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like. It reminded me of.
Anyway,
just to give a vivid image a little bit for those listeners.
So I went to the doc. He said, "Oh yeah, this is bad. You gotta get it fixed." So, put a date, and then I remember it was a few weeks out, and I was talking to Mike, another member of our paranormal team, and he's gone through many surgeries.
Hernia type surgeries.
Yeah.
Too.
And he said one of the times that every time he's under anesthesia, being under anesthesia, it basically puts you in the ultimate meditation mode to travel if you are keen to it. And he used every single one of his surgeries to talk to his spirit guides, to commune, to figure things out, to get better messages and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal was to go under and see if I can talk to my, not my spirit guide, but, all right, let's put a pause on that story point right there and go back a little bit before. I don't know how much people believe into it or not. It's besides the point right now. I had a past life reading we talked about in one of the episodes. Mm-hmm. And one of the times I was a Cheyenne, native. Mm-hmm. You know, my past lives, say early 1800s, late 1700s. I had a grandfather in that time who passed on the spirit warrior, title to me. What that entitled, who I'm guessing on, but essentially I was a protector in the spiritual realm for my tribe. And that's, I suspected, where my ability came from. So this is your first episode. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff that you have no idea what we're talking about. Further past episodes, look at everything on the Shadowwalker. Kind of explains my ability in a good fold. Anyway, my suspicion was that's where my ability came from. So, me and Megan were talking about that one day, and then the spirit of my grandfather from that time showed up at our house. And Megan was getting messages from him, but we couldn't communicate that strongly. So, back to what I was saying before, my hope is under the knife in my anesthesia state of mind, I will try to commune with him, talk to him, get any kind of information what I can whatsoever from him. And I don't know, get a name at least. You know, what is this called? Because one of the things we asked him when Megan was trying to commune with him is what is this ability called? Is it called a Shadowwalker? And he said, no, that's not what it's called.
Yeah, no. And even like research I've done, technically it's not, well, I don't know. The only thing that I ever saw that was remotely close to your ability, your ability is, I think they call it like psychopomp, but it's different. Like, it's not entirely your ability, but that's the closest. Because apparently there's another psychic type of ability that's known as like a Shadowwalker. But then also your ability kind of details a little bit about a Shadowwalker. So it's like, I don't know, a bunch of different,
aspects,
parts together. It's weird.
So Well, I guess if anyone's ever had surgery before and have been put in anesthesia, you might have had different experience things for me. But the one thing I remember the most is the fact that, yeah, there was no countdown from 10 where they put you in the gas and whatever. Like, no. I was in the surgical room and all of a sudden they say, they heard talking, and I remember closing my eyes and then waking up in my what was it, my patient room. And I was coming out of it. And I was like, "Oh, sir, Mr. Sanchez, surgery went fine. You're coming out of anesthesia. You're going to be a little tired." I'm like, I just blinked. And it's already over. They said I was in there for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Going through the surgery. And everything went fine. You're good and stuff like that. Go bring your wife in. I'm like, no. And I don't remember the conversation I had with him. I know I did. I know I spoke to him. I know I had a conversation. And this is where I need the help of any people who listen to our show that are native, who speak Algonquin, who know native terminology, who probably even know native stories. The name that was given to me of what I am or what this ability is, this is what he said to me. You are Ashwadakanta, the Reaper of Souls. Ashwadakanta, the Reaper of Souls. That is what he said to me. And that's what I told Megan when I was coming out of it.
That was
half awake. And I turned to Megan and I said, Ashwadakanta, that is my name. Yeah, and that's all I can remember saying.
Wait, okay,
what?
Sorry.
What?
No, because it's crazy. I gotta go back because because I got my past lives read.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac got his past lives read by someone super special. Her name is V, and if you don't know, she has a paranormal podcast called Life Paranormal with V. Highly recommend checking her out. She's very, very good at what she does. And she's pretty much the only outside psychic I kind of go to read me. I trust her, and so with any kind of psychic, trust is important. So I get readings from her. And she did past life for me, and it all clicked. Like, even little things, like, I couldn't understand why I was obsessed with as a kid, or whatever. And the past lives that she pulled, I never told her any of this information. But the past life she pulled was insane. And she normally gives you about 2 to 3 that you need to basically learn from. And at the time, the 3 that she picked was 100% exactly the lessons that I needed to learn.
Yes. Ashwadakanta.
Yeah, but
he almost sounded like Ashwadakanda, but with a T at the end, so Ashwadakanta. That's what he said. Now, granted, I'm probably saying it wrong because I don't speak Algonquin or anything like that language of Native Cheyenne time. That would have been in the early 1800s. But that's what he said. You are Ashwadakanta, the Reaper of Souls.
What I was gonna say.
I was like, what?
What I was gonna say is that I think that she had some sort of name with an A like that.
Yeah, one of my past readings, she said she thought she had an A name.
And she couldn't figure it out.
She probably couldn't say it.
Maybe we should do an episode. Maybe we could ask her if she would be okay with us, like, releasing the recordings. Maybe we could do, like, where we, like, let you guys hear the past lives and chime in kind of, like, our opinions of what we got from it, just to get a perspective about past lives and, like, past life readings and stuff.
Oh, yeah, if you want.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. I have to ask her and see how she's, if she's down for it, if she's okay with us releasing, because it's basically her recording. So it might be, like a vulnerable situation for her, but let me, ask her, and then maybe you guys will get, maybe even as a bonus episode one week, too. That'd be cool.
But that's the information I found, or at least I got from my elder, or my grandfather at the time, of that era. Of existence, and there probably was more to the conversation. Like I said, I don't remember because it literally was I blinked and woke up in the same eye closing, eye opening. I just woke up tired and stuff like that, and then my abs were sore for a good almost week. I literally couldn't bend over to put my socks on.
Yeah.
And I was in that kind of state from getting from bed and going to my chair. That's what I did majority of the time because I couldn't do anything else. And so, yesterday, today, I'm starting to move around more, it doesn't hurt anymore, but I also can't pick anything up over 20 pounds, so I gotta let it heal.
Yeah.
But no, we should do this more, so we're back in a sense like that.
Yeah. So you know how I always talk about hospitals too? I actually, believe it or not, didn't get it. It wasn't too. I don't know if it was because I was functioning off 2 hours of sleep, but I actually didn't get any terror. Like normally, I get like a lot of anxiety in a hospital. The only thing that I saw, and this like freaked me out, was to get to like surgery up the elevator, and I don't like elevators to begin with. I don't like past life I died or what? I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, but I don't like elevators. Anyways, so we went in, and as we were going in, I saw this black, like tall shadow, like where you press the buttons. That's the only thing, thankfully, I saw. Because I was getting ready, I was like, this is going to be a wild ride, not only for Isaac, but for me. Because, like, it was like, I haven't, like, I never been in and it's been a long time since I was in a hospital with my abilities, like, in tune.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was...
Yeah, I didn't really feel much while we were in there. Nothing really came at us.
It was pretty calm. I'm guessing, like, spirit guides and angels and stuff like that were more so all around, so it wasn't, too intense.
But on to today's episode that we promised 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is all about an idea I had, or theory, that witchcraft, forms of ancient, let's say, technology has been lost through time, and it was used, way before recorded history as a form of technology, but we forgot about it and now see it as a primitive form of technology when it's been far more advanced, but we still haven't been able to use it properly.
Yeah.
And that's my theory, is that witchcraft and stuff like that is used, and even religious symbols of the past are forms of technology. Now, this idea it's not new. It's kind of what Assassin's Creed, the whole storyline, if you ever played the game series, is kind of based on. That ancient gods had these powerful forms of technology that were seen as magic because of what they did, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I recently saw on was how, because we all know the theory that vibration and stuff like that with the earth and then with people and stuff like that, people always talk when the vibe is off. Now we use that term, but vibrations usually indicate and can use to figure stuff out. Like the right vibrations can heal people, the right vibrations can lift and form anti-gravity technology. That's one theory of how the pyramids were built, was they used like music to move stuff. But it also comes in tune with, say, lightning or pulling down and using molecules on a subatomic level or just like that. But the idea that was postponed is that the staffs that Moses, that Jesus, that who was some other guys use, right?
Some other guy.
Try to think. Different people have used staffs in the past that have been seen as magical, right?
Yeah.
Like how Moses turned his staff to a snake and stuff like that, and how he parted the sea, right? That might have been an old form of technology. That staff might have had access to vibrations that would have allowed him to manipulate, let's say, the water to split in half for a period of time. Or call down lightning or stuff like that. Right? I was reading, I was like, it's possible. But when you think about different forms of witchcraft that have been used to do this and do that, people who are not psychics, right? Who have no psychic ability, have no, or in tune to the ether. They're still able to perform things. Sometimes take time. Sometimes they're very fast. Sometimes give a direct answer. It all depends. And a lot of witchcraft today, used by average people, right, who don't know what they're doing, is used as a form of protection.
Yeah.
I.e., what do you call it? What was that? Stick you burn, smoke.
Polissanto?
The stick you burn, smoke.
Incense.
There we go. Palisanto.
No, okay.
How did I say in a stick you burn with smoke and you get Palisanto?
No, because that is an actual thing. Like, people listening that know their stuff, no. Polissanto.
Sounds like a pasta.
No. Isaac. No, I think it's from South Yeah, but it's like sage.
Not everyone would call it that. I'm talking sage and its incense.
Polissanto. Yeah, a lot.
Everyone would call it sage.
No, because it's different than sage. It's a little like wood.
Everyone uses sage.
A lot of people use the sage.
Yeah, and I've never.
Palo Santo is like a lot of people use it. A lot of people use it. I would say it's almost on par with sage.
You took a poll,
and
people knew
probably,
no.
Yeah,
people know more what sage is versus Palo Santo.
If you show them Palo Santo, yeah.
They go, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but
anyway,
yeah, okay.
Well, yes, they use sage.
Incense.
Oh, I was gonna say sage.
Okay, sage.
Incense is kind of they just kind of changes mood and vibe in a room.
Yeah.
Sage is actually used to
cleanse
and protect, right? Which leads to the idea: what does smoke burning from a certain kind of abundant plant have to do with protection, or at least pushing away spirits? Like, how does it a certain smell?
That's like certain herbs too, because like you can even there. I mean, you don't have to just burn sage. You could burn rosemary. You could burn. I think lavender was also on there.
The myrrh.
Because like myrrh is my favorite protectant herb, and myrrh and which they actually use that for exorcisms.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, which is interesting. You think like you're saying, how are certain smells and certain herbs like
things on a theory on that? It might be proven true or not, but things that are made from the earth, i.e., stones, even right,
yeah, crystals,
certain ones can repel darkness because the energy that it holds, the energy from the earth. Which, if you boil it down to, a lot of stuff is just made of essence of energy. And how one energy can manipulate the other, i.e., even magnets are the most proven form of energy that we have. Is how the negative charge versus positive charge can repel each other.
Yeah.
So if you use that same idea with plants, with herbs, with stones, a positively charged object can repel a negatively charged object. Trying to keep it very scientific and at the same time.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that if something is positively charged, it repels something that's negatively charged. And things out there, dark-wise, that are negatively charged energies will be repelled by positively charged energies. And since myrrh, all that stuff, they have forms of positive charged energies in them that are given from the earth that will repel when turned to smoke, because smoke spreads faster, it seeps into the air versus a solid object. Yeah.
Interesting. That's like... too, even like salt. Like I'm a big user of salt with protectant herbs in it to kind of create a barrier around the house. And then if you go to crystals too, like black tourmaline, like that thing sucks negative energy. Like I would have to say for me, from my experience, black tourmaline, I've seen it do the most damage in negative spots. Not most damage, most like repel, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so the idea too that witchcraft and the paranormal has been used a lot is what I kind of was finding. Like, for instance, necromancy. I don't know if anybody has heard of that, but it's normally, not all the time, but it's normally associated with darker magic. And it involves the communication with the dead, either by summoning spirits as apparitions, visions, or raising them bodily for the purpose of divination, imparting the means to foretell future events, discover hidden knowledge, to bring someone back from the dead, use the dead as a weapon. Now, I didn't even know about necromancy before. Like, I started paranormal.
Heard about it every now and then, never knew fully what it was.
I never knew either. And so we started going to these spots that actually, believe it or not, had a lot of that done. And we kept hearing necromancy over the spirit box. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is that? And so I looked it up, and that's what it said. So,
in basicness, it's taking human spirits that are around and using their energy to use as a power source for whatever you want. So It's almost imprisoning human spirits, essentially, and using them as for your will.
Yeah.
Which, in all sense, is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Now, I know we said this before, but we have no problem with witchcraft and witches and stuff like that. Megan is a practitioner herself in light witchcraft and stuff like that. But, like all things that are out there, there are those who use it for evil and bad. Like, i.e. dark witches and stuff like that, who will
And I'm not talking, like, we're talking about, like, dark.
Who use this for negative reasons.
Yeah.
Who summon demons to the plane for doing their bidding, to curse somebody because they looked at them wrong, or they said something bad about them, right? Those witches, those are the ones that, so technically, if you ask any witch, to give them all a bad name.
Yeah.
But all witchcraft was looked as bad by people who never understood it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And these kind of witches didn't help the cause.
Yeah.
So.
And it's even like a good example, too, is scrying. Scrying is using mirrors. There are people that, because basically it kind of gives you the ability to see into the future, to kind of like get messages from the other side, because mirrors are essentially portals. So you can almost get messages and get like psychic type messages through without having abilities. And depending on whoever's intentions are, that could be used for good or bad. Some, people just use it just as another form of reaching out and communicating to the other side, almost like seances too.
Yeah.
Some, paranormal investigators, ghost adventures have used seances. They pull, light witches onto their show to do seances to communicate to the other side. But then you have, the darker side of things that they will use scrying for bad reasons. It's, seances in a bad term, Yeah. So, and that's even when you go back to the settlement times too, like, I think, I haven't done much research on it, but a theory I kind of got, like, in the Salem witch trials and stuff like that, how they persecuted a lot of witches. I feel like, they're probably I don't know, because, everyone likes to say witch, but, I remember there's a couple.
Well, if you were just a smart woman back then, they would just be
it's stupid.
Witch!
And I think, like psychic abilities didn't just happen yesterday. Psychic abilities have been around a long time. So makes me think, like, if you were somebody back then that had psychic abilities, right? And you got your good long-term neighbor, friend, Maybelle or something like that is going to die of a disease, or you're trying to help her and you get a message about it and you go tell her and it ends up happening. I mean, that could be terms for witch. She knew what's going to happen. She cast a spell. So, I mean, it's crazy.
Yes. But it brings me my point, or the point of this whole episode in a sense like that, is the theory that magic, witchcraft, right, was old form of technology that got lost through time.
Yeah.
And people today who practice it are trying to tap into that. Now, they don't see it as that. They don't see it as old form technology. They see this as connection to the earth, making spells to the other side, using supernatural, spiritual realm, all that. Right? But in truth, it's almost like you're hacking the energy around you to help your own cause, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah.
But that is essentially, when you think about what they're doing, and and we're not using it to the full extent. We're cavemen trying to figure out Wi-Fi in a sense like that. We're getting pretty close to the idea of what we're using and what we're doing it for. There's a lot more stronger witches out there and stuff like that who have probably a better idea. But it's going to take time, and more understanding we have with the spiritual realm and stuff like that, the stronger we can get with it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because when you think about it, I feel like the most use of witchcraft today is protection. Because obviously when you go paranormal investigating, you need that extra protection. Like, for instance, when we started going out, and it's crazy because when we started paranormal investigating, I did not even think about like tapping into like witchcraft and stuff like that. I didn't even think about going that route. But then I started looking at protection and salts, which is like literally been around since like early settlement times they used to use salt all the time to protect. You look up, even Hocus Pocus mentions the salt. If you see her, like, remember, what is her name? What is the girl's name?
Wait, what?
In Hocus Pocus, the Allison, there you go. When Allison,
I would never remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Hocus Pocus fan anyways. When the witches were there, she put the circle of salt around her, and Winifred goes, "What a clever little white witch," because salt, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like my choosing of protection. I use crystals and salt. That's just what and obviously religious symbols to a degree. And, yeah. So, like, that's a form of protection. And even knowing, like, protection herbs and stuff like that, which is technically from witchcraft, derived from witchcraft, when I go to locations, I'm more protected than when I didn't know anything about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I bring with me, you know, like, I have a bracelet that smells like myrrh and, like cedarwood, which is grounding and protecting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Get what I'm saying? Get my jazz?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, even though, like, it's morphing into the paranormal world because that's a lot of the times what investigators are using now to protect themselves against darker locations and darker entities.
Well, you're dealing with a lot of spiritual things, especially when it comes to dark entities and demons and stuff like that out there.
Yeah.
And forms of witchcraft have been used to protect, right? Symbols, stones, salts, herbs, stuff like that. Things connected to the earth that can repel. Things like that, like I said before, that are negatively charged.
Yeah.
How about a lot? I know voice commands tend to work as well. Words spoken. Certain words spoken in certain tones, right? They can command things to do, or command, what's the word I'm looking for? Command things from the ether, stuff like that, right? Even what I do, right? When I command entity that I pull into my object that I have basically imprisoned a lot of dark entities, right? I don't want to say it's a form of witchcraft, but I'm commanding them into an object.
Yeah.
So am I using an old form of technology, essentially, when I do that, by words? You got to think about when people talk about when do spells and stuff, you got to say a certain rhyme, or you got to say how and what you're putting this onto and who against and what way, right?
But you know, one thing I think too, and I've always said this, is, even when it comes to witchcraft, like the human mind, like we have such a limiting belief on the human mind. Like we think, like even with myself, you know, like getting more into my abilities and getting more into this, I always think like, okay, there's no way, you know, because society puts you in kind of like a box to think like that kind of stuff is not possible. It's just not. But the mind, what's that movie, Lucy? Where she like has control of all of her brain, like the human mind.
Mm.
The human mind has capabilities beyond anybody's beliefs, but we don't tap into it enough. And I think witchcraft kind of like taps into a specific side of that, of your mind, and how, because you got to think a lot of things, like everybody says, is an intent in your direction and your mind and your willpower on how you drive something. Like you could say, you know, something's going to protect you, but if you don't give intention and belief into it,
almost manifesting it.
Yeah, manifesting. If you believe that, like I, you know, some people don't believe in that kind of stuff, but I've seen it firsthand. Like my view has gone 180 degrees, but in a positive way from what I was before. And two, yeah, sorry. Had a brain like drift. I don't know what happened there.
You went somewhere.
Yeah, I went somewhere. I don't know. And then my thoughts got jumbled. Okay, so like even going back, there is an article that I found that was talking about kind of like uncrossing, shield guarding, and defense magic, which is kind of used today, like with the paranormal in terms of like protecting your house, protecting yourself when you're out. But I found some of these kind of interesting things that I thought were interesting. So this article starts off by saying for thousands of years, protecting and shielding rituals have served as an important function in magical belief systems worldwide. They have been used to ensure safety, prosperity, good health, and positive outcomes since the dawn of history, which is true. Like even in settlement times, they used, I forgot what episode we talked about, but there was an episode where it talked about, they would put like symbols or they would do a certain thing in the fireplace to make sure things evil spirits wouldn't come in. And this was like 1600s. So, here are just some things that I kind of like found that I thought was interesting. One concept that I've heard is that iron can keep spirits trapped. Like there's a place, one theory that I remember reading on like a blog and like somewhere in the interwebs. It was that there's this haunted location and there was an iron gate all the way around, right? And they were saying that was why certain spirits were trapped in the area and couldn't leave, was because of the iron gate. Now, I don't know I haven't done much research as to what, like, iron is, like, why it could trap something. But, on here, one of the things they were saying for protection is take an iron railroad spike and hang it on the inside of the door. Or you could put one in each corner of your home and it's supposed to be protected. Which is interesting.
Makes me, wish I would have took that iron stake that we found. One of the haunted locations we went to.
Yeah, I think it was one of the roads.
Yeah.
A traditional Northern European amulet. Amulets. So any kind of necklace that you could wear too. Amulet can ward off evil. So that was one thing that they were saying. Like carnelian stones or beads have been used as protection. So anybody that wears crystals, like when we go on investigations, we wear crystal bracelets. Yeah, necklaces, stuff like that. And then obviously salt. If anybody has ever heard of black salt, that is considered the most powerful. They were saying that there's so many ways that you could utilize salts as protection. Like for me, I mix in protection herbs. So like rosemary, lavender, rose, and stuff like that. I have never made black salt, even though I've heard from other psychics, other witches, other paranormal investigators that that's very, very, very effective. So, I have to look more into it. Apparently black salt though is like the ashes from the incense. And I've also heard from other people that it's also something else, but that's the most common thing I've seen. Like when they say like how you can make your own black salt is by using the ashes from incense. So if you burn like myrrh incense or dragon's blood incense and you use that ash and you put that into your salts, it's obviously it's going to make it black, the black salt. So interesting. And of course, like herbs like dried bay leaves and sage and rosemary and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well,
even candles have been used. Like now you have protection candles with crystals and herbs and stuff like that in it. So
yeah,
interesting.
No, funny. I thought this episode would be longer.
Yeah,
but
I think we covered it. I think it's like.
Well, we talked about bits and pieces throughout every single episode, but I just wanted to basically give the idea and the theory to hear from you and stuff like that when we talk about different witchcraft that we use and different kind of spells and stuff like that when it comes to that is, I always thought about it as the theory of ancient technology or ancient way of access. It's almost like hacking the ether. It's almost hacking the spiritual realm, the higher dimension, right?
Yeah.
Because if the theory is that we were created by higher dimensional beings, right, whether you be the Anunnaki or gods or whatever like that did it, they were higher dimensional beings than us. And to use even a smidgen of what they can do all the time is our form of technology, which is witchcraft. Is us trying to access that and use just a little bit to get things done that we want to get done. Of how they can manipulate time and space very easily.
Yeah.
And I guess we always wanted access to that as well as humans and stuff like that. Like you said, we have so much more potential to access the other side.
Yeah.
And we could do it in more ways than, say, meditation and stuff like that. There's other ways to do it, i.e. witchcraft.
Yeah.
Because it is, in my theory anyway, a form of ancient technology that's been lost through time. Because if you look at it, it can also use ways to, you can use it to trace people back to certain places. You can, hack into information and find stuff out, but you can use it to ask questions and get different answers from the other side. When people use tarot cards, let's say, what do you consider a different form of witchcraft for this, stuff like that?
Yeah, a lot of psychics.
Or throwing bones and throwing runes.
Yeah, a lot of people would consider that witchcraft. Is more on the obviously on the lighter side, obviously.
You're seeking information.
Yeah. Yeah, that would technically be a form of witchcraft. Because most psychics that kind of portray themselves as like witches will use tarot. Like me personally, I don't like tarot, but throwing ruins has always kind of intrigued me. Laura, who was on one of the guest episodes, she does a lot of quantum healing stuff. She was the one mentioning, because I was telling her that ruins have been that's the thing I've been drawn to the most, even like to protect myself. I think I would pick wearing protection runes over wearing crystals if I had to, for myself. But yeah, throwing ruins, I didn't even know that was a thing until she told me about it. So.
But, yeah, so we want to give that to you, explain things, what's going on.
Yeah.
Give you theories on this. Next week's episode.
Ooh, the next couple episodes, guys, are... Ooh.
And we promise to be on time.
Yes, we're going to be on time. And more active on social media, too. Thanks.
Next episode, I gave the idea to Megan.
Yeah.
And it's something I heard about that I've always kind of didn't really know much about, but after looking into it, I'm like, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
The Watchers. Now, this goes farther than Christian belief when it comes to angels and stuff like that. The Watchers go older than that.
Dang.
And essentially, they were beings that existed, well, on Earth, but came to Earth in a sense of watching humanity. But, I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
If you heard anything on the Watchers and stuff like that, you heard different things. And I just want to find out more and talk about them because they seem extremely interesting. But that's next week's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. And that was technically our haunted update in the beginning. But yeah, back to what I was saying, if in the beginning, if we have any native listeners and stuff like that that know what I was saying, or at least know the gravity of what that name means, please, I implore, contact us.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least if you know somebody who could figure that out for us, contact us.
Yeah, and I definitely be on it as far as like trying to see if we could I'll talk to and see if she's comfortable with us releasing the readings that she did. So you guys can kind of see like what a past life reading is like. And we'll play the audio for you and then put our 2 cents in. Because mine tie into a lot of obsessions, things that I kind of did as a kid, which is mind-blowing. So.
Yeah. As always, guys, you can catch our social media on Instagram at Hidden in Shadows Podcast, on Twitter at Hidden in the Shadows 6, on TikTok at Hidden in the Podcast 2, or links to all our social media and all ways to listen to us at hiddenshadowspodcast.com. Also, links to our merch store where you can pick up a shirt or so. Well, guys, we're getting back to it, so
yeah,
we'll catch your weirdos in the next one.
Yep.